Prepare for combat. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello game guys and game gals, welcome to another episode of GGRC. This past weekend, I got into the closed alpha for LawBreakers. And LawBreakers is the new first-person shooter by famed Unreal and Gears of War creator Cliff Bleszinski. It really goes without saying that the guy knows his stuff, and with his new company Boss Key Productions, it looks like they're trying to create something special here. So LawBreakers can be sort of summed up as Unreal Tournament with some Team Fortress and Overwatch thrown in there for good measure. So in the game there are two sides, the Law and the Breakers, each side hosting a different set of characters yet the same classes. Every character or class has different abilities, similar to Overwatch, but that is really where the similarities between the two games end. Well, besides the fact that they both take place in the future, but regardless, LawBreakers is faster and overall seems to be less tolerant of people with bad aim. If you want to take down enemies in this game, you'll need to be accurate. Unless you're playing as the assassin, but we'll get to that in a moment. The other big game changer in LawBreakers is the use of low gravity. In this futuristic world, the gravity has gone all crazy, and at certain points in the maps, you'll find yourself jumping as if you were on the moon, all the while trying to shoot down your enemies. There will be a few game modes in the final release, but this alpha served up only one, Overcharge, where each team needs to try and capture a battery. The battery can be charged at each team's base, and when it hits 100%, there's a countdown where whichever team has the battery at their base when it reaches 0 gets a point. First team to 2 wins the match. So I ended up playing around 10 matches of LawBreakers, and I think 10 matches is enough time spent with any game to give it a decent opinion on it. This would equal around 2 to 2.5 hours of gameplay, as each match seemed to last between 12 and 15 minutes for me. So after 10 matches, the main question here is, did I like it? Well, yes and no. While the game is fun to play and definitely makes you feel good when you're doing well, I feel like there are still some issues that need to be addressed here. Obviously, please keep in mind that this is an alpha build of the game, so it's very possible that these won't even be problems when the game comes out. First off, the health bar and the UI in general, they need to be a little bit more prevalent for me. While I was able to get used to what they look like after a while, they almost seem invisible and unimportant when you're actually fighting. This is weird considering in a competitive FPS you always want to monitor your health. I also don't really care for the voiceovers from the characters. I get that they're supposed to be cheesy action movie style quotes, but after hearing them a bunch of times, I just end up rolling my eyes at the lines whenever the characters say them. The low gravity aspect of the game is really cool, but it feels really contained in certain maps. In this particular alpha, Boss Key really wanted to show off their new map, Promenade. The weird part about this map is that while the middle area where you grab the battery is a low gravity zone, it's the only area that features it. Now maybe this just wasn't being used to its full potential by the players, but I noticed that most every player was going around the low gravity zone to get to the other team's base instead of going through it. Now I did have a few matches without this issue, but this does make it sound like players aren't really sure what to make of using the low gravity zones to get around. But I will say that fighting enemies while in it and escaping with the battery through it is a lot of fun. There are also some character balance issues here. When playing against certain classes, I felt as though I had no chance to escape or fight back. This was especially noticeable when I was playing against the assassin. For a class that needs to be close range and in your face to get a kill, I feel like it was really easy for them to get to me and take me out. It almost felt like the assassin could just jump in all willy-nilly with her knives and not even have to worry about aiming at you. However, I think the biggest issue here for me, though, is the flip side of what we were just talking about. Certain classes feeling a little useless or underpowered. While I love playing as either the Titan or the Assassin classes, playing as the Enforcer or the Vanguard classes made me feel like I was either playing them wrong or I just wasn't that powerful. As the Enforcer, I had a hard time feeling much power behind the assault rifle, and I never felt like I was quick enough to react. There's something strange that happens between shooting the assault rifle and then the bullet meeting its target. It doesn't feel satisfying, and I end up feeling weak. His abilities are also a bit lackluster, except for his ultimate ability that shoots 4 very powerful rockets at the enemies. While the Vanguard has a useful grenade, an awesome ultimate, and a really cool ability to fly around that made me feel awesome and fast, Her main weapon, the chain gun, made me feel really slow. While shooting this thing, I felt the same thing I felt with the Enforcer's assault rifle. It just doesn't feel all that powerful or satisfying to use. Then, when it comes to reloading the thing, wow, does it take a long time. And during the reloading process, pow, I'm dead again. By an assassin, no less. On the other hand, I love the abilities and the weapons for the Titan and the Assassin. They were fun to play, and I felt powerful with those characters. In fact, nothing felt better to me than playing as the Assassin, grabbing the battery from the enemy base, and running to my base to capture it. The abilities mixed with the speed just made it feel really good and made me flash back to my Quake 2 days playing Capture the Flag. Good times. You might think that I just mentioned a lot of issues, but in the grand scheme of things, I don't think it's anything Boss Key can't tweak and make better before they release the game. Class balancing is always tough in games, but at this point, LawBreakers is almost there with all the classes. Except maybe the Enforcer, he needs a bit more work and polish, I think. Boss Key has said that the game will no longer be free to play when it comes out, and it's supposed to release sometime this year. I hope they work out a few of these things because underneath these issues, it feels like there's a really fun multiplayer game trying to get out. Well, there you go, everybody. That was the LawBreakers Alpha. See you next time.
Your side dropped the battery.
You should have stayed home.